Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Damian Lillard will be eligible for a 2-year, $107 million max extension next summer. Now, that would take him to his 36th birthday under contract in Portland. He wants that extension. He has made it clear to the organization, and there's uncertainty whether the organization will want to commit to him on that, because right now he's a very tradable asset. But all of a sudden, Dame Lillard in his mid-30s as potentially the highest paid player in the league, $55 million in 2026. Well, that's a very different deal to try to trade. And
yeah, that's right.
Reckless speculation.
You know, the Wolves have lost 4 games in a row. It's Reckless Speculation Thursday. Mackey and Judd, Doogie from 5 Eyewitness News, and also the Scoop Podcast. You know what? Damian Lillard fixes everything, Doogs. Let's make it happen. All right, let's go. Let's go to the Grand Slam level of reckless speculation here. Let's do it.
Good morning, gentlemen. I mean, heck, I'm sure you have seen the Modelo commercial, right? The beer commercial. You know, Damian Lillard is some sort of warrior. So yeah, sign me up. You know, I don't know what the heck it would take. It would take a lot. It would take Anthony Edwards, and I know that ESPN's proposed idea involving the Wolves, other teams, did not involve Anthony Edwards. Best of luck trading for Damian Lillard. I will say, nobody bats an eye when talking about Chris Paul making $45-ish million, in his mid-30s. Like, trust me, there are many teams that would happily pay Damian Lillard, $50 million when he's 35 or 36. He really doesn't have much of an injury history. Trust me, the trade market, if Portland ever gets to that point, if Lillard ever gets to the point of saying, hey, get me out of here, trust me, Portland would have 10 to 15 offers to choose from, and all those teams would have no problem extending him.
So what would it take? Cat almost certainly would have to be included name-wise, correct?
I'd like to keep Ant personally. Literally just anything else that you want for Dame. Ant plus Dame, and then whatever else.
If the starting point is Cat, though, like let's say the first name out of Sachin Gupta's mouth is Karl-Anthony Towns, what would this trade take? Let's just go full reckless speculation. Let's take Ant out. What could you do to put together a package?
Well, let's talk through this logically. If you're Portland, you decide to move Lillard.
Yeah,
you are hitting the reset button. Why the heck do you want Karl-Anthony Towns, who's due another big contract in the short term? And oh, by the way, what makes you think that Karl-Anthony Towns would be interested in staying in Portland long term? So if you're Portland, you are seeking something comparable to what New Orleans got for Drew Holiday, right? It's multiple first-round picks. It's multiple options to swap first-round positions. It's at least one good young player. So, yeah, I get it. You'd have to match the money, but we're talking, guys like McDaniels, Bolmaro, the Wolves' 2022 first-round pick, the Wolves' 2024 first-round pick, the Wolves' 2026 first-round pick. Then the option for Portland to swap positions 2023 and 2025. That, to me, would be the starting point.
The article, I think this is the one Declan found the other day, right? It's 5 big Damian Lillard trades we want to see the Blazers pursue. And it's NBA Insiders is the byline on ESPN.com.
I think Tim Bontemps did the Wolves one.
And Tim is good. He's really good.
Mm-hmm. So the Wolves here, a Harden-esque deal from Minnesota. So here's what they say. Hit the sounder. Here's what they say. Let's do this. Portland gets D'Angelo Russell, Taurean Prince, 2024 first-round pick, unprotected, rights to swap 2025 first-round picks, top 1 protected, 2026 first-round pick, top 3 protected, 2028 first-round pick, and the Timberwolves would get Damian Lillard and Ben McLemore, presumably for salary reasons. So you'd be giving up all of your every other year first round picks until 2028, which yes, if you have Ant and Damian Lillard and Karl-Anthony Towns, you don't need a first round pick really ever in the next 5 years. How realistic is this? I don't know, but it's interesting that this wound up on ESPN.com. Tim Bontemps writes, it's difficult to see a deal the magnitude of one involving Lillard happening in the middle of the season with an interim GM in charge of the Blazers and the Timberwolves. But then it goes on to say that the Timberwolves have one playoff appearance in 17 years, and they might as well do something to push this thing over the top. So I don't know. I mean, hey, it's on ESPN.com. Okay, it's not like NBA trade analysis.net or something. So I'm taking this as gospel. I don't know about you guys.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you this much: Portland can do better than that, right? Like Prince's salary filler is an expiring contract. Portland doesn't want anything to do with D'Angelo Russell. So it's all those draft picks. But if you're able to maintain Jaden McDaniels, Leandro Bolmaro, and you get Damian Lillard to combine him with Cat and Anthony Edwards, yeah, sign Sachin Gupta up for that. I mean, I do think Gupta does have some Rosas in him where he is going to go star hunting, at least inquire. Like he wants to have his finger on the pulse of some of these big transactions, even if he can't land said player. Like he wants to know what the price is. And so, trust me, if it ever gets to that point, I can almost guarantee you Sachin Gupta will have dialogue with the new Portland interim president of operations, whatever his title is, last name Cronin. I mean, trust me, Sachin is going to reach out. But there isn't a sense. I saw Lillard on SportsCenter last night with Scott Van Pelt. He hopped in with Mark Spears on a back and forth. You know, I mean, he doubled down on he wants to see this thing through, that it's still early, that there's a transition with new head coach Chauncey Billups. To bring this full circle, remember Chauncey Billups interviewed before Gerson Rosas got the Pobo job. Chauncey Billups was in the mix to become the Wolves president of operations, so completely full circle. But Chauncey then went the coaching route, you know, coached under Ty Lue, his dear friend in Los Angeles, now has ascended up to head coach in Portland. But Lillard admitted, hey, it's going to take some time. I hope for the short term that Lillard plays on Sunday. There's a chance he's back on Sunday when the Wolves play the Blazers, because I love watching that guy play.
So let's talk through this, because I feel like this rumor keeps coming up. Like the Dame stuff keeps every time something happens with the Blazers, it comes back.
Well, because they stink.
Right.
Like
right,
they can't stop you, me, Declan, right, and Phil.
But Dukes, I feel like this feels like the initial KG trade, where KG wanted to at first see things through, stay here. You know, I love Mini. I want to be in Mini or Soda and blah, blah, blah. And it was the Wolves who eventually said, we're so bad, we're going to trade you. And then KG bought in, and it worked out great. The Dame thing, guys, is starting to feel like that. Because, like, there's no way this would keep coming back up and up and up with really credible people unless there was something behind the scenes being said by somebody important. Like I don't think Woj would participate in these discussions if Woj was being told on background from both sides he's not being traded.
Well, I don't know about both sides. I can tell you, you know, Neil O'Shea, who just got dismissed as Portland's president of operations, you know, like, you know, it's known in league circles, like he'll talk, you know, not necessarily on the record, but he'll talk. You know, so yeah, I mean, undoubtedly, Woj is getting information. I don't know how much he's getting from the Lillard side, but yeah, I think he's got a good working, you know, understanding of the last, you know, few years with Damian's situation there in Portland. How, you know, after 10 years, one Western Conference Finals appearance, like this is what happens, Judd. Like Giannis is the exception in Milwaukee, but like if you're a superstar, and I do think Damian Lillard is a superstar, top 75 player of all time, go up and down the list of accolades. He is a superstar. Like, you don't stay in one spot, a small market spot, for double-digit years without winning. And so that's why this thing is coming to a head, you know, and can I eventually see Lillard getting traded? Yeah, absolutely. I just don't know if we're quite to that point, you know, and as the ESPN story, you know, touched on, you know, more likely we're looking at something next summer, not necessarily before the mid-February trade deadline.
So that was fun. You know, just, you know, head hit the pillow last night dreaming of Damian Lillard in a Wolves uniform. But I think the more realistic scenario, if the Wolves are looking at this thing and saying, all right, there's been some good things, there's been some bad things, the recent stretch of, there's been some injuries lately too, but, you know, their defense has been a disaster the last couple of games against Atlanta and Utah. And so it's obviously not a perfect roster. They have taken a step forward. The more realistic path, potentially, maybe even to an in-season trade, is Indiana. And Doogie, you've been talking about Indiana going back to the end of last season, and Shams is reporting as of a day or two ago that the Pacers are now, quote, receptive in trade dialogue on LeVert, Sabonis, and Myles Turner. Do you see a fit in season for the Timberwolves?
Well, sure. I absolutely see a fit. So, let's go one by one there. LeVert's former agent is a Timberwolves assistant general manager, Joe Branch. Now, positionally, is LeVert a fit? Probably not. But I can tell you, there is a huge Caris LeVert fan in the Wolves front office because his former agent, Joe Branch, is here as the Wolves assistant general manager. On Sabonis, Gerson Rosas inquired about Sabonis a couple summers ago. So that doesn't mean that, nobody else, wants him, doesn't want him. But, like the Wolves have made inquiries in the past on Sabonis. And trust me, there's at least one other Sabonis fan in that front office. Now, do I think Indiana's trading Sabonis? I don't. I think the most logical of the three that gets moved, now maybe it's LeVert, but to me the most logical is Myles Turner. Myles Turner just came out in a different athletic interview saying he's been underutilized. I just think it makes a lot of sense for Myles Turner, who can be a free agent after next season, so he's got a year and a half to go. You can maximize his trade value by moving him by that mid-February trade deadline. And undoubtedly, I can promise you, there are Myles Turner fans here in Minnesota. They will make the call if they haven't already made the call. The question is, can they top? Okay, I think Golden State can present one heck of a package. I can go up and down the list of a bunch of logical fits, but like Golden State to me would be right at the top. Can you trump the Warriors' offer? And, another full circle, the Warriors can offer Jonathan Kuminga, who they got because of the Russell Wiggins trade, right? That they had that additional first-round pick last summer. But if it's not him, Moody, they can put James Wiseman on the table. They can put a future first-round pick on the table. Now, if Myles Turner goes to Golden State, I'm not quite sure if Indiana wants Golden State's first-round pick, if it's pick 28 or 29 in the next couple of years. But the Warriors have the assets to make a Myles Turner trade. I think it would be tough for the Wolves to trump a Warriors offer.
His contract is really good too. He is making $17.5 million this season, next season, and then after 23, Dukes is an unrestricted.
He's a heck of a player. In fact, I went back and forth with somebody that used to work in the Pacers front office, just taking the temperature on Turner. He goes, I don't think people realize how good he is. And maybe that speaks to him saying, hey, I'm being underutilized. But he's an excellent pick and roll defender, just an excellent overall defensive player. He can make the three, but he can do some other stuff offensively as well. I think he would be a good fit next to Cat, and I'm positive the Wolves feel that way as well. I'm just telling you, I don't know if they can present the best possible offer.
He can rim protect as well, correct?
He can. Oh, yeah. He's a block shot machine. But, even in terms of just altering shots, he's excellent. Yeah, you'd be asking Cat, to guard, the opposition four. But, hey, Utah last night had Bogdanovich on Cat, right? The opposition four is guarding Cat. So just have Cat. Now, Utah is maybe not the best example because Bogdanovich isn't going to come into the lane very often. So you're going to have Cat, guard the perimeter. But there's some different creative things they can probably do. We've seen that Elston Turner is a pretty darn good defensive coordinator. So he could scheme it. I'm just telling you, short answer is Cat and Myles Turner undoubtedly could coexist. I think that would be one heck of a front court.
Mm-hmm. Let's play this ant clip here that Declan dug up from last night's game. This is really interesting. This is him talking about Karl-Anthony Towns not going quick enough when he gets the ball in the post. And keep in mind, this is a 19, 20-year-old kid, barely, 82 games under his belt in his NBA career, talking about the star player on the team that's been in the league for 7 years here. It's an interesting dynamic. So let's play this real quick.
I told Cat the best way to beat it. You got to go quick. I told him at halftime, you waiting on the double. You telling him, yeah, come double me. Now it's you the best player on the floor. They take you out of the game. You know what I'm saying? Then when they double you, they not rotating, they staying with me and making everybody else beat you. So I just told him, like, you got to go quick. Like, if you watch, and I told him this, like, he knew I told him this. I'm like, if you watch Joel Embiid play, you have to double Joel Embiid. Like, there's nobody in the league that can guard him. So he goes quick. Like, you can't double him because he catches and goes quick. Like, so I told Cat, like, you catch the ball and you holding it. Like, you waiting for the double, like, telling them to come double me instead of just catching it and going. Like, they can't guard you. And I told him, like, it's disrespectful for them to put number 44 on me, bro. Like, that's disrespectful. So, yeah, he know. He know he got to kill all of them. Like, the best player on the floor every night. You got to kill him.
This is really interesting for a few reasons. Now, number one, I don't think he's doing it maliciously. I think he loves Cat. I think they get along great. They seem to have great chemistry. So he's not doing it to, like, send a message or shove Cat under the bus. But the fact that you have a second-year guy, 20 years old, who's essentially, like, publicly saying, yeah, I'm telling Cat, like, he's got to do this, to a 7-year veteran who's 26 years old. I just think that's an interesting dynamic. And I think it shows you that even Cat's teammates feel like, come on, guy, like, you're so talented, but, dude, take a step here.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder deep down how Cat feels about Joel Embiid's name coming up. That had to get him going. Now, I will say, like, watching last night, I still don't think Cat is 100%. Like, that tailbone, you know, like, I don't know if he's at 75, 85%. He did move better last night compared to Monday, but he's clearly not 100%. I also think he's still trying to figure out, and you're right, Phil, 7 years in, how exactly will he be officiated, right? Like, if he goes fast, does he lower that shoulder? We saw it once last night. Bogdanovich takes the charge, right? Cat gets called for a lot of offensive fouls. That he's still trying to figure that part out. But, yeah, like last night, you know, Gobert is an excellent help defender, right? I mean, I thought it was genius for Quinn Snyder to devise the defense he did, although a lot of teams are doing this against Cat. But, you know, you don't guard him with your 5-man. You guard him with your 4-man and have your 5-man help. And Gobert is an excellent help defender, right? And so, yeah, that double was coming. And Cat did not shoot the ball enough the first 3 quarters. Was a little bit more aggressive in the fourth. But, yeah, it is something that needs to be figured out. Chris Finch, brilliant offensive mind. It's on Finch to devise, you know, different schemes to get Cat, you know, better looks, quicker opportunities to get to the basket. So there is truth in what Anthony Edwards was saying. We're also seeing before our very eyes. We see it almost every postgame. But Anthony Edwards is the alpha on this team. You know, like, he's the leader. He's developing into that. Maybe he's not quite that this second. He's not the MVP. Heck, the MVP so far has been D'Angelo Russell.
It's D'Lo. Yeah, when he's gone, they can't function. They can't function when he's gone.
Yeah, I mean, look at the 2 Clippers games. You know, look at Monday. Look at last night. You know, so they need D'Lo back. Like, D'Lo might have to play at 80%. Like, just fight through this ankle situation because they miss him dearly. Both ends of the court, by the way. He's been a good defensive player. I don't know if he can maintain it, but he's been good on the defensive end. But, yeah, I mean, it's on Finch to find different ways to get Cat, you know, touches early in the game. And it's on Cat, you know, to find different ways to avoid, you know, picking up those offensive fouls because you still want him taking a lot of shots. Like, he's the best shooter statistically on the team. Like, a lot of guys are shooting below their career averages, not Cat. Like, Cat's been their best shooter so far this year. So you want Cat to take more shots. But I'm telling you, I think he's trying to figure out, okay, like, how do I make this initial move without the defender, you know, going down to the ground, potentially flopping? Like, how do I avoid? Because the officials are looking for it. How do I avoid picking up that offensive foul?
So there's 2 things with that because it's frustrating. Is Cat is now in what, year 7?
Year 7, yeah.
Oh, okay. The fact that he hasn't figured out that going into the lane and loping down the lane like a gazelle that's in pain and then falling to the floor and looking for the call isn't going to work is maddening. Like, that's the thing is part of this is squarely on him because his style of I got fouled and officials now call fouls on him. He needs to readjust his thinking and at times, first of all, quit falling in these because he does it on purpose now. quit falling in these elaborate, oh my God, look at me, I'm down and I'm not getting a call.
He needs to be more he needs to be more subtle in his attempts to draw fouls.
But he also just needs to be tougher about the fact that sometimes he's not going to get the calls, but he almost introduces calls against himself through his own theatrics. And it's maddening to watch because it's not necessary. If this was year 2, I'd be like, clean that up. It's year 7, dude. Figure it out. It's not
the thing
that
too,
hard.
Judd, is look at the numbers. He actually gets calls. He really does. Like, he's near the top in the league in fouls called, on the opposition, guarding him. Like, just look at it. He's not number 1 or number 2, but he's near the top of the list. So he actually gets more calls than I think a lot of people realize.
But he wants every call. That's the problem.
But you're right about the theatrics. He wants every call. And heck, he's got a reputation. We'd be kidding ourselves if we don't think these officials, ref these guys, based on past history and experiences with a lot of these guys. And if it's a 50-50 type call, they're going to side one particular way when a guy has established a reputation. And unfortunately, Cat has a reputation.
Yeah. All right, Dukes, let's go rapid fire scoops. What else? What other non-Timberwolves things do you have in the bag for us on this Reckless Speculation Thursday?
Well, you want some reckless speculation? Parker Fox, Gophers basketball.
Speculation.
So he undergoes ACL surgery in May. He was dunking pregame last night. Now, just standing there, jumping, dunking, but it points to the progress he's made. Now, I can tell you, going back to mid-May, I connected with him at his house in Matamidi. The plan then was take the red shirt this year, then have 2 years of eligibility remaining. So I still think it would be uber aggressive for him to return sometime in January or February. But the point is, he has made unbelievable progress recovering from ACL surgery. And I can't help but think if you had him and you had Isaiah Enan, maybe this team could win 6 or 7 Big Ten games. I still think they're going to win some Big Ten games. Like if you had asked me, 4 weeks ago, I would have told you 2 or 3 max. I'll now go above that. Like I think I saw enough last night against Michigan State, saw enough in the win in Pittsburgh last week, the win at Mississippi State, that this team is capable of winning 5 or 6 Big Ten games. I know that doesn't excite a lot of people, but based on the progress on the recruiting front, they had a bunch of recruits at the game last night, including a couple kids from Lakeville North that they're after, including Trevor Winter's son, the former Gopher, Nolan Winter. He's one of the best players in the state in the class of 2023. I think we are going to see Ben Johnson, Dave Thorson land the best Minnesota players class of 2023 and 2024. They'll bring in some national recruits as well. I just think they're maniacs on the recruiting front. So, like, if anybody, for whatever reason, is down on the Gophers after last night's loss, don't be. Like, last night was super encouraging, and just the totality of these 8 games so far, super encouraging. I really, really like what I've seen from Ben Johnson's team.
Tom Izzo was very complimentary too.
Went out of his way. Now, Tom does that on occasion, but he wasn't prompted. Like it was, him stream of consciousness just saying, hey, I need to give Ben, some love. And so, Tom still has a great relationship with Ryan Saunders. I can tell you Ryan loves Ben Johnson, thinks the world of Ben Johnson. Ryan's checked out, some Gophers practices and he watches the games, or he's at the barn. He's been to the barn for at least one game. So that might filter a little bit through Ryan. But Tom knows what the heck he's talking about. He realizes that Ben is fully worthy, fully capable of doing this job.
Big crowd last night too, right?
Yeah, well, better.
Yeah.
It wasn't sold out. They did some different, ticket giveaway type things. And, they were trying to get as many bodies in the barn last night as possible. But it was a great environment. And, Judd, I've always said this. Like, my favorite, just my opinion, but my favorite venue in town to watch a game when it's rocking is Williams Arena. Like, give me the barn over anywhere else. I love it. And so we may not necessarily see it this season, but just wait a little bit. I think Ben and his staff can elevate this program above where Pitino had it, certainly.
I know most people are going to be consuming this probably after the Vikings game or leading up to it, but Dalvin Cook playing 11 days after dislocating his shoulder. And there's been a couple, like the PFF injury expert came out and said, yeah, this seems like a bad idea. This is the type of injury that you could do even more damage. And like, it just seems problematic. To me, it kind of seems desperate but they are desperate. They're 5-7. They have to win. So I don't know, man. I think it's karma for Judd trying to get a layup and write that down too by predicting he'd miss 2 games.
Well, I will say this much. If you talked to people close to the situation on background, Monday, November 29th, Tuesday, November 30th, a day or two after the injury in San Francisco on November 28th, Phil, they would have told you to a man he was missing 2 games. Like, best case scenario, he'd be back for that Bears game on December 20th. So I am shocked with a dislocated shoulder that it's trending in the direction of him playing. Now, maybe he's used more as a decoy, like Aaron Jones with the Packers a couple weeks ago, but even so, at some point, if he's out there, he's going to take a hit. Like, I'm floored. And I get it. He's a different breed. He's a different animal. Like, he's been pushing to play. They can do some things to protect the shoulder, but I can't believe 11 days later, he's actually going to get out there. To me, it seems nuts.
And the player will always push to play. Like that. This is how it works.
I'll give you an example. Adam Thielen was actually trying to push to play, Judd.
You have to say no.
I'm telling you, it's a borderline grade 2, grade 3 sprain. Like, that's many, many weeks. Yet we've seen they're not putting him in IR. So they think Thielen will be back here in the next week or two. But, like, I'm told Adam was actually trying to push to play today.
Well, the team has to say
and he's out. We know he's out. But I'm just saying, like, these guys are just they're different animals. They really are.
Right, but that's where the team has to step in and say,
correct.
No, you are not set to play. We do not want to do permanent damage.
I heard Mike Zimmer's pushing to actually coach in the fourth quarter defensively, too. We'll see if that happens.
Oh, boy. That was the type of cheap shot that gets Score North a bad rap.
Did you guys see, by the way,
very negative rap?
Did you guys see, because you referenced the Damian Lillard ESPN Insider, information, did you see the Jeremy Fowler ESPN Insider?
That's a good segue. We're going to get into that after we say goodbye to you. It's very interesting stuff.
I'll leave you with this, and hopefully there's some carryover with the audience. The scenario he laid out with General Manager Rick Spielman makes a lot of sense to me.
Yes, it does. Yes.
Makes a ton of sense.
All right. Okay. That's inside information about your favorite local sports teams. He is Darren Doogie Wolfson, the Scoop Master on Reckless Speculation Thursday. Thanks, Doogs.
All right, boys. Kirk Ciarrocca, now that it's official, he's been recruiting. He was in South Dakota yesterday connecting with their quarterback commit, Jacob Knuth. He'll be their quarterback signee for the 202022 class. So
he's recruiting wishbone offense. Yeah. Keep the wishbone offense. Let's keep going. All right. See you, Doogs.
See ya.
All right, Reckless Speculation Thursday. We are going to get into this juicy nugget from Jeremy Fowler on the Vikings in a second.